Since 2008, the marketing for superhero films have dominated everything in our lives. And in all of that spectacle, some really great movies have gotten lost. And in this video, I'm going to recommend 3 way movies you might have missed. Now, I'm the first to admit that I've eagerly awaited each of those hyper-marketed superhero films, and they have thoroughly entertained me. It's just difficult for me to relate to these larger-than-life characters, and so when I do find a film that has a strong, relatable character that tells a compelling and powerful story, it leaves a much greater impression on me. And especially if that story is centered around the relationship between those characters. The first movie that you might have missed is The Way. It was written and directed by Emilio Estevez and was released in 2010. This is such a wonderful film, and for many reasons, but chief among them is the way that you're drawn into this journey, and you feel like you could be any one of the people that Tom meets along his way. Each one of the actors in this film plays their part wonderfully. Now, the story is quite simple. Daniel is an adventure-minded young man who dies while on the Camino de Santiago, or the Way of St. James. This is one of Christianity's most important pilgrimages, and it's a journey that draws nearly 200,000 pilgrims every year, and they walk more than 500 miles across Spain and Portugal and France to visit the church that houses the remains of St. James. Tom, Daniel's father, goes to France to bring the remains of his son home. Filled with grief and regret, Tom decides that he's going to cremate his son and finish that journey that his son started and do it in his name. Now, while walking, Tom meets other pilgrims, and each of these characters are carrying their own burdens, their own joys, hopes and fears, failures and loves, real turmoil and real struggles. My favorite among his companions is Joost, a Dutchman who's walking the Camino in order to lose weight and get healthy so that his wife will find him desirable again. And if I had to criticize this film, it'd be that there simply wasn't enough Joost. I would love to see this character again in a spinoff. I really wish that more people were kind like Joost. Now, while I first watched this movie in 2011, it wasn't until I recently revisited it and was reminded how beautiful the relationships in this film are. So much so that I felt the calling and I had begun planning my own Camino. It's next to impossible for me to share this film with somebody without getting emotional. And I think it has something to do with the love that Tom expresses for his son Daniel that I've never felt from my father. Now, the second Way movie that you might have missed is The Way Back, and it's also from 2010. This one was written and directed by Peter Weir. This is also a story about a long walk, and this time it's prisoners escaping a Russian gulag, traveling 4,000 miles on foot, out of Russia and the horrors of war. This is another film about the relationships that develop between these characters, and they're all driven by different motivations. It's an ensemble cast full of brilliant performances by everyone involved, including Ed Harris, Saoirse Ronan, and Colin Farrell. The only criticism that I have of this film is that it's way too short to develop all of the characters thoroughly, and I would love to see an extended version of this film. The last of the 3 Way movies you might have missed is The Way, Way Back from 2013, written and directed by Nat Faxon and Jim Rash. This is the coming-of-age story of a young Liam James, whose character Duncan is awkward, not too popular, and absolutely not looking forward to summer vacation with his mom, played by Toni Collette, and her boyfriend, played by Steve Carell. Going into this movie, I wasn't excited at the prospect of another Steve Carell film. My reservation is that I can only watch so many comedies, and Steve Carell does a lot of the same character. However, in the way back, Steve Carell deviates from this norm, and he plays an incredibly convincing villain. Great performance. I see Duncan in this film, and I can relate to when I was that age. I saw so much of my younger self in this character. The only difference between Duncan and I is that I didn't have an Owen, played by Sam Rockwell, showing me that it was okay to find my own way and to be myself. Now, if I had any criticism for this film, it would be the hold on the slide scene. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. I believe there were plenty of other choices that the writers could have made. Thanks for watching. And if you love film as much as I do, please consider subscribing for my weekly movie recommendations. And if you like what you've seen here, please let me know in the comments. It would mean so much to me. And thanks.